And the reason why it's put in that context, so to speak, is because I guess the soul is the wisest aspect of self as far as we are aware of from this incarnate state, looking at it from this place outwards and upwards, or inwards, if you will. So when we look at it from that place, we could quite safely say that the soul is the wisest aspect of self. We could perhaps say that it is the authority of every aspect of self. Okay, so this is why these revocations are coming from your soul, because it is the wisest aspect of your essence, basically. Yes, it is, absolutely. And so that's why these revocations, yes, no. So these revocations will be coming from the soul space, from your soul space. And as they are shared and read out to you when it's time to do it in the following broadcast, you will choose if it is resonant for you to do. Okay, that's how we're going to go about it. And so there's different categories, as I mentioned earlier, of all these kind of different revocations. So here are the different categories that we're going to cover as we move through this process. Thank you for joining Shamu. And so here are the categories, here we go. So one of the most important categories, no I can't say that because they're all really important, are the categories of mind, okay, and thought process. So it's basically things that we think. That could also include things like beliefs, programming, subtle conditioning, whether they be conscious thoughts or unconscious thoughts, but basically one of the categories is thought or mind. Okay, so what we really want to do ideally is to align our minds with the super consciousness and the one, the all mind that is the the grand orchestrator of everything that is, right? So that's really what we're trying to retrieve and get back to. But in order to do that, we need to stand in the very powerful place of the soul platform and revoke everything that stands in the way of what it is that I've just described. Okay, so mind and thought is very important. Okay, so that's the first category, or one of the categories. I will go with them in order of relevance as is given to me on the day that it's done. Okay, the other category, or the next category, of course, is the category of feeling and emotion. Feeling and emotion. And sometimes this can be, quite corrupted. Yeah, our feelings and emotions can become quite corrupted. And so we're going to look at the emotional realms and revoke all kinds of frequencies that are causing pain in that domain. Okay, so we've got emotion and we've got mind. Another category that we've got, of course, there's many categories. When we try to do it all in one, because we're such complex beings, we're not going to sort of be able to really get to the crux of things. And because in my transmissions I like to do things in a lot of detail, not just my transmissions but in my actual facilitating, teaching and work that I do. Thanks very much for your hearts, by the way, guys. I really do appreciate that. So we need to kind of split it up into categories and subcategories. Okay, so we've got emotion, we've got mind. We have also got the psychic and spiritual categories. Okay, so there are people out there that are good for you. You can also replay it. Don't forget that, either on Periscope or on my catch.me/fusion7healing. So one of the other categories, guys, is the psychic category. Yeah, or spiritual, because they kind of overlap a little bit, those two. So a lot of times, a lot of our programming and our conditioning can actually be of a spiritual nature. So we may have received teachings, or we may be resonating, for example, with some stuff of the old times, let's say. but they're not actually congruent to the ascension and evolution of our soul at this place and space. Okay, it's like upgrading a telephone. It's like upgrading your technology. Okay, and so all these kind of energetic processes are also very much something that does require upgrading. Okay, but in order to be able to do that, we must be able to revoke the frequencies that are interfering with that. Okay, so that is spiritual and psychic. Yeah, and a lot of people who are into this kind of stuff may have like a little bit of resistance when it comes to this, because we may feel that what we know, that what we've learned, that what we've been taught is, the only way or the correct way, when in fact it may be creating some problems for us. And this is something that I've actually experienced, and it's something that I need to look very deeply inside the self to be able to, dematerialize that from my space. Okay, so that's another category: psychic and spiritual revocations. Okay, wonderful. So another one that we have is a timeline revocation, and the timeline revocation goes across all timelines, which means that we'll probably do it as one timeline. So it could be something that happened in this lifetime to you. Okay, so things of the past perhaps, or it could be stuff that's connected to other times and places. Yes, dimensional timelines, I like that. Time and dimensional timelines, we'll call it. Dimensional timelines. Okay, so this spans across all different times and places, and it's not because we want to go back or go forward to nitpick stuff just for the sake of it. It's basically the stuff that is a live wire in the present that has been caused because of stuff that's gone on in other times and places. Okay, so that is our fourth one. Another one is to do with memories and trauma. Again, it kind of overlaps. Hey Doughty, how you doing, my darling? Thank you for coming in. So we will be revoking situations. Hello, my darling. Thank you for coming in. How you doing, Maria? Lovely to have you. So there will be revocations of how are you doing, honey? Hey, what's going on in Los Angeles this morning? I'm actually on the southern coast of Cyprus in the Mediterranean. Past influencing the present. Yeah, exactly that, hun. Yes. So now we're going to look more directly. The other ones we're going to be revoking are traumas. So these are more sort of like conscious in our space. So it could be actually something that happened yesterday. Do you know what I mean? So it could be something that is kind of an attack of sorts or a violation of sorts. Okay. So violations, attacks, whether they be physical, emotional, psychic, attacks that have us winded. Do you know what I mean? It could also be something of a nature to do with a loss, okay, which could also be a trauma, a loss. So many times when we lose something, I had Murphy's Law happen to me Monday. Oh dear. So, am I guessing correctly to assume that it's still something that's in your space and bothering you right now? Guys, don't forget to share this transmission with your community. Thanks very much for doing that, because really this is an announcement transmission. I'm sorry to hear that, and we will be dealing with it, absolutely. And this is what we're going to be doing in the transmissions to follow. Okay, so it's very deep and important work. Yeah, so violations, trauma, attack, okay, loss, bereavement, This will be all one category, and it's all to do with trauma, okay? Another category, let's see if it's given to me in this way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on to the 5th category. Yes, energy vampires could also come in the category of an attack or a violation. Yeah, it could come in the same sort of grouping as that one, but definitely that will be addressed if that is your thing. These are like general. If I need to subcategory them, then I will do, definitely, Andrea. And we will see how that sort of unfolds and pans out for us, yeah? So another category would be memories, okay? Memories. So memories could be, let me just sort of like explain that to you a little bit, yeah? A memory is when, say for example, you've revoked and removed a trauma, but you may have the memory of it lingering somewhere in your space, right? So it could be an emotional memory, it could be a mental memory, it could be a psychic memory, it could be an instinctual memory, okay? Like an example, they might sound a little bit weird, but an example of an instinctual memory is perhaps, say you're doing really, really well in your life, okay? But there could be a memory in your DNA where you've got something going on that's connected to poverty. So even though you're doing really, really well, the memory still lingers, and so you are still functioning based on that memory. Does that make sense? Yeah? And it's very, very important, and it's very subtle, and a lot of these things do actually overlap, but memories are memories. And I do a lot of that kind of healing type of work that is in the category of memory. Okay, let's see if we have something else here. Okay, so soul memories, soul memories. So even though these revocations are actually coming from the soul in itself may be carrying some events or situations that need to be cleared, okay? So there could be things like contracts or vows or agreements that have been carried out on the soul level in order for the soul to grow. But perhaps these events, soul events, okay, are something that need to be cleared so they don't carry on, you know, through your continuity. Guys, can you see the very interesting rings of light that are in the screen here? It's very unusual. Usually they come in like shafts through the window, but right now I can see them as kind of semicircle rings. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that? Kind of interesting, yeah. Starts from up there and it goes all the way around. I can see about 3 of them right now. It's quite pretty, eh? Interesting, yeah. So yeah, so we've got soul events, okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got one more. And the last category may not be the last one, but it's the last one in terms of like really sort of like important ones that I can think of, and that would be patterns and repetitions. Patterns and repetitions, okay. So we need to be revoking something that is like in a loop and it just keeps happening over and